Hello, friends, and welcome back to another episode of I Do Work Here Lady, the series where real employees get mistaken for imposters in their own workplaces. These stories never fail to entertain, and today I've gathered a fantastic set for you. You'll hear about a woman who pretended to know the boss just to score free samples, a shop owner who was accused of stealing in his own store, a racist couple who finally got put in their place, and an intern who was mistaken for a client. Stick around for today's stories, and don't forget to subscribe for future episodes. The first tale is called The Rude Customer Who Got Free Tea Cut Off. Here's the setup. I worked in a luxury mall at a tea shop that specialized in very expensive loose-leaf blends. The owner, whom I knew through my old basketball coach, had a husband who made smart investments, one of them being this tea business. We sold teas from all over the world, mostly retail, though we also prepared drinks priced anywhere between $5 to $8 depending on the cup size. As part of marketing, we often distributed leftover sample teas to neighboring stores at the end of the day. It built goodwill, created buzz, and most employees appreciated it. Well, almost everyone. Enter Rude Lady, IRL, who worked at one of the larger stores in the mall. One day, she stormed in, complaining that her department hadn't received free tea that week. She went on and on about how it always came every Tuesday, and accused us of being inconsistent. Our conversation went something like this: RL, we always get free tea from you. Why didn't you bring it today? Me, those cups are just a courtesy when we have extra. The owner lets us give them away instead of wasting them. RL, so why didn't you bring any? It's just tea. Me, actually, ma'am, these teas cost about $12 for just 2 ounces. They're not cheap, and we can't simply hand them out. RL, well, I know the owner, and she always gives me free tea. I want to speak to your manager. You clearly don't know what you're doing. We pay for these teas at the end of the month, and you're breaking our contract. She was reaching for anything at this point. Me, actually, I am the manager, and for the record, there's no contract. Free tea is never guaranteed. It's just goodwill. Since you're being this demanding, I think it's best if your store doesn't receive samples anymore. Her jaw dropped. You can't do that. I know the owner. At that exact moment, my former coach, who happened to be in the back, since her daughter was at a Microsoft class nearby, walked out. RL's face lit up as if salvation had arrived. RL, finally, an adult. Can you tell this kid to stop pretending to be the manager? Owner, actually, he is my store manager. And as for you, I've never seen you in my life. Please leave. Needless to say, her department never got free tea again. My co-workers couldn't stop laughing when I told them later. Honestly, it was one of the reasons we eventually stopped giving out samples altogether. People got way too entitled. The second story is called, My Employee Didn't Know I Was the Owner, So I Married Her. About 7 years ago, when I was 19, my 3 friends and I opened a cell phone shop. We repaired phones, sold accessories, and handled third-party contracts. As the business grew, we launched a second location across town, which became my project. After months of work, it stabilized, so I wasn't there as often. One day I was covering shifts at our original location while my partner went on vacation. I arrived to find him on the phone in the back, so I wandered around the shop. A new employee, whom I hadn't met yet, kept following me, pretending to do inventory. I thought, weird. Maybe she recognizes me from the photos in the office. I was just about to introduce myself when a customer walked in. I stepped forward to help, but before I could say a word, she cut me off and handled the customer herself. Afterward, she turned to me, her. I'm sorry, but you need to leave. You don't work here, and you're making me uncomfortable. Please get out of my store, I blinked. Excuse me? She insisted she had seen me put something in my pocket when I came in, and that she was the owner of the store. She said she didn't want trouble, just for me to leave peacefully. Right then, my partner came off the phone, overhearing the end of her lecture. He was barely holding back laughter as he told her, Actually, this is one of the owners, and your boss. Her face turned scarlet. That moment was nearly 3 years ago. Today, That fiery redhead who almost kicked me out of my own business is my wife. And in a few months, we'll be welcoming our first child, who will definitely grow up hearing this story again and again. I own this store. No, you don't. Actually, yes, I do. And now, you're my wife. What a wholesome twist. I wasn't sure about sharing this one, but here goes. For about 4 months, I worked as a leasing agent at a garden-style apartment complex. It wasn't a top-tier property by any stretch. While the units were decent, the amenities were outdated. Still, we got a wide variety of prospective tenants. One afternoon, a polite young couple came in looking for a one-bedroom. They were pleasant and respectful throughout the tour, as I showed them several units and explained the leasing options. We had just finished up and were standing near the office exit when the woman asked me a final question. So, are there any, black people who live here? 1,000 thoughts ran through my head. But as a leasing agent, I knew there was only one professional response. Fair housing laws forbid us from answering with a yes or no, since that would be discriminatory. Instead, I said, anyone who completes an application and passes our income and background check is welcome to lease here. She frowned and pressed again. Right, I understand. But do you allow black people to live here or not? At that exact moment, my assistant manager, who happens to be African American and also lives on the property, walked into the office on her day off and overheard the conversation. Without missing a beat, she smiled, reached out her hand and said, yes, they do. Hi, my name is Angela. The couple instantly began fumbling to recover. Oh, I see. We're just, It was painfully awkward. Then, as Angela walked away, the woman muttered under her breath to me, your manager approves of this? I looked at her, then at Angela, and finally pointed toward my manager. She's the manager. If you'd like, you can ask her directly whether she approves of herself living here. The couple left without another word. Angela and I laughed about that encounter for weeks afterward. Honestly, I think the awkwardness hit them harder than it hit us. Now, here's another short but funny memory from my internship days. During my final semester of college, I interned at a sheltered workshop as part of my special education program. These workshops are facilities where companies send products to be processed by individuals with intellectual and developmental disabilities, often at reduced wages. The clients are supervised by a large staff of non-disabled employees, many of whom had little training. Because I live with chronic pain and fatigue, I use mobility aids, a rolling walker or a manual wheelchair. I was the only person there with a disability who wasn't a client. To identify myself, I wore a lanyard with a badge displaying my name and my university, though sometimes it would flip around so it wasn't visible. More than once, I'd be working in a common area on my laptop or jotting notes in a notebook, and one of the staff members would strike up a conversation. Without fail, they spoke to me in the exact tone they used with the clients. Slow, overly sweet, and patronizing, while talking normally to everyone else. My favorite way of handling it was to lean into their assumption. Whenever someone would chirp, "And who are you?" I'd smile and respond brightly, "Oh, hi, I'm the intern from the university. It's so nice to meet you. I'm learning a lot here." Watching their face shift as they realized I was a college student, articulate and educated, never failed to make me laugh. You could practically see the gears grinding as they shoved their own foot in their mouth. The lesson here is simple. Never talk down to disabled people, and never assume someone using a wheelchair must also have an intellectual disability. I hope you enjoyed these stories. If you haven't subscribed yet, go ahead and hit the button and turn on notifications for future episodes. Let me know in the comments what you thought, and I'll see you next time.